You've been reading so many obituaries, watching so many tributes to Ratan Tata, among the greatest builders of modern India. What I'm going to do, however, is to give you one more episode of First Person Second Draft, where I take you back to some of our conversations, to nearly a quarter century of knowing him through very interesting times in India's history. In fact, when ThePrint was born 7 years ago, Ratan Tata was one of its first two backers. It was an act of long-held trust, respect, friendship, and most importantly, a shared belief that good, unhyphenated journalism is a larger common good. That's why his passing is a tragedy that's both institutional for ThePrint and personal for me. This equation, however, did not start exactly on an ideal note. In October 1997, when I was still a relatively new editor at the Indian Express, its investigative bureau chief, Ritu Sareen, who I might sometimes adoringly call a smiling assassin, walked in somewhat breathless, holding a couple of cassette tapes. This was the pre-digital era. Isko suno, hear this, she said, a mega scoop written all over her face. These were recorded phone conversations between some top Tata Group executives, industrialist Nasli Wadia talking on their behalf, some senior officials, Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, then a Tata Group director, and several others, top civil servants in Delhi, politicians. They were all talking about helping the Tatas have some hostages released by Assam's insurgent group, Alpha, United Liberation Front of Assam, and also to negotiate, you know what negotiations means, to negotiate peace between the outfit and Tata Tea to ensure the safety of the executives that Tata Tea had on its gardens in Assam. The story caused a stir and infuriated the Tatas and Ratan Tata himself. The many friends of the Tatas and Nasli Wadia himself appeared on TV channels to call the paper and its editor irresponsible. The IK Gujral ordered an inquiry into who might have tapped these phones, but it yielded nothing. The case died, but a chill remained between the Tata Group and the paper I edited. The thaw came from the usual reporter's luck. Sometime in the summer of 1998, I was returning from a morning run at the Tata, which is Taj Group owned Lexington Hotel in New York, when a familiar American voice called out to me. This was Frank Wisner, until the previous year the US ambassador to India. And who was his breakfast date but Ratan Tata? Wisner introduced me to Tata in his usual effusive and generously complimentary manner. It was the first time I had met Ratan Tata. There was no conversation except a handshake and an exchange of awkward smiles. In any case, I was in my shorts and t-shirt. Then, 2 days later, as I stood in the lobby in the line to check out, I found Tata ahead of me, or sort of ahead of me. He owned the hotel. The hotel staff had collected to give him a send-off and also get a group photo taken. Some luck, I thought. We will now be on the same Air India flight. See you on the flight, I said. I am also flying Air India. But I am on BA. He said, why would Mr. Tata not be flying Air India? I asked, sort of somewhat cheekily. He said, I will when we are running that airline again. I wished him well and we exchanged more smiles. Some months later, I got a call from his office to ask if I'd join him for lunch in Mumbai. The lunch was in a private room at the Taj in Mumbai, and there was no mention of the tapes story. Besides the usual politics, his frustration with the business environment and inspirational ideas ranging from entrepreneurship and technology, aviation and philanthropy, we discovered a common passion: dogs. All these serendipitous meetings, handshakes and smiles apart, it is the dogs that finally brought about that thaw, that broke the ice. We met often now, and dogs always came up in our conversations. He sent me a signed copy of the picture in his room, his favorite dog Tito, with a ball in his mouth, looking adoringly at Tata. In one of those conversations, he talked with immense emotion about a book he had just read, The Art of Racing in the Rain, published in 2008 and written by Garth Stein. It is the story of a Formula One racing car driver, Denny, and his golden retriever, Enzo, and their incredible love and bond that transcends marriage, the arrival of a child, accidents and death. Death, very important, because the dog has watched a Mongolian documentary that said dogs reincarnate into men. The story in the book is narrated entirely by Enzo as if he were a human. Tata's eyes would mist over often when he talked about this. He remembered lines from it, Enzo's lines. He followed that conversation by sending me a copy of the book with a very warm note to a fellow dog lover. The book was made into a Hollywood movie, by the way, in 2019. In these conversations, I discovered how strongly he felt about dogs and other animal life, his own and animals in general, especially those on the street. As for his own, his Tito wrecked a leg in an accident and he flew him in his private plane to a hospital in the American Midwest specializing in bone transplants. He was heartbroken, he said, when the surgery failed and the dog died. You've been reading about the stray dogs he allowed in the Tata Sons headquarters, his small animal hospital, and the stories of him collecting leftover food from Taj in Mumbai and driving through the streets of Colaba at night to feed it to stray dogs. They are all true. At Tata Sons headquarters now, a sizable room and a facility have been created for the so-called strays by the side of the staircase at the entrance. If you happen to go there or even pass by, please do take a peek. Nothing made him more furious than stories of people treating animals badly. He had a particular beef on this with Navy officers and their families in whose neighborhood in Colaba he lived. And I quote from him, "Why do they treat street dogs so badly? Why do they hit them? They want to banish them. Why? All these dogs need is some food, love and respect. They will give you much more in return and be of no nuisance whatsoever. Why can't people understand that?" He would say in great exasperation. Other things frustrated him also, like the lack of transparency and norms in the way our governments worked with the corporate sector. In the course of time, we recorded 2 episodes of Walk the Talk for NDTV about 7 years apart. The first one was at Tata Motors plant in Pune, and we recorded a part of it on his new Indica, of course, on his bespoke version with the roof cut away. In this first episode also, he did talk about deals still being cut in dark New Delhi corridors at 11 p.m., even so many years after economic reform. The next, in 2010, was more edgy, deeply political and headline worthy. This is when the Tatas were facing the Radia tapes heat and he sought me out to open up. Please see the video and read its edited transcript. I will share both with you with the description of this video. Of course, you can toss all the good things he says about me and the quality of our journalism as mere generosity from one dog lover to another. We are forgiven this. But listen to some of the things he said. Of how he feared if rules were not followed, if so much discretion followed in our system, and of course, if people's phones could be tapped so freely and leaked selectively, India was in danger of becoming a banana republic. His words. He added, again, I quote, "I do not use the term lightly. Banana republics," he explained, "run on cronyism. People of great power wield great power." I'm quoting from him, "People of great power wield great power. People of lesser power or people who've fallen out of power will go to jail without adequate evidence, or their bodies are found in the trunks of cars. The danger is that you could degenerate into that kind of atmosphere." He was really hurting at this point. Of course, he always insisted that the Tata Group never paid bribes, never break the law. He was facing pressure at one point from activists about a port he was building at a point called Dhamra on India's eastern coast in Odisha. And I told him that activists say that you've taken reserve forest area. He said, "It doesn't matter. I will fight in the court. I'm not protesting. I'm not complaining. And I'm sure I will win in the court because there is no reserve forest there. We know." And certainly he did win that case in the court. That said, around the same time, I was asked by TIE, or what used to be called the Indus entrepreneurs, to do a conversation on leadership between Ratan Tata and N.R. Narayanamurthy in Mumbai. It was a masterclass and both opened up to talk freely as grown-up, successful people do not often do in public. A link of that conversation, which took place in December 2009, is available, and I'm sharing it with you again with the description of this video. Another conversation I chaired on June 1, 2012 in Bengaluru's Taj West End Hotel was all on the theme of philanthropy. It was hosted by Gates Foundation and included Ratan Tata, Bill Gates, Narayanamurthy, Azim Premji and Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. It was in some of our many conversations, like twice in a year, that Tata suggested I strike out on my own at some point, and if I did so, he would be there with an initial investment. It was small, very tiny, like pocket change by his standards. For us at The Print, it was an invaluable vote of confidence. All the more reason we will miss one of the greatest builders of modern India.